So I never went into my marriage saying that I didn't want kids. I did. At least one more. I really wanted like 2 or 3 more, but at least one more compromise. And I knew Rick's feelings at first on having a family and having kids, and he wasn't huge on having kids of his own. I knew that. But something inside of me says, you know, he's raising my son. He's an awesome dad. Why could he I couldn't imagine, why didn't he not want his own flesh and blood? You know, nothing ever made sense to me. But his mind started to change. We had friends that had kids. We'd go see those kids at the hospital with the babies when they were born. And I specifically remember leaving the hospital with him, visiting a friend's baby, and him saying, you know what, maybe we can do that. Maybe we'll start trying. As a woman, you really grasp that comment when you're one that's wanting more children and a bigger family. And, you know, in a way I kind of look at it that it was really unfair of him to do that to me. So I can see where a lot of, from my point of view, where the resentment came and comes in. There's a part of me that also tries to understand that when we first got together, he did explain to me he had a pretty rough upbringing, and you know, there's a lot of private things, of course I'm not going to say here, that went on, and looking back, is a pretty good indication of why he wouldn't want to bring kids into this world of his own. I can understand from that point in things that he's told me, many things that he's told me that have happened with his upbringing, and you know, I get that, but also, you know, I wasn't raised that way, and you know, it's just hard for me to understand, you know, here we are, 2 people together. We're doing a great job. We're doing a great job at raising Zach together. We're going to make awesome parents. Let's just make our own little human and do this together. And it doesn't have to repeat what you went through growing up. Let's just make, you know, new memories and have good memories for your child, your flesh and blood growing up. And I don't know. I guess there's just things he couldn't get past in his own thinking, and it's sad, you know. It makes me angry. It makes me angry at his family. It makes me angry at his mom that she allowed the things to happen to her son that she did. A lot of it's unexcusable, and I will always I will never allow, from my son now as a grown man getting ready to have a baby of his own, I want my son to realize, and he's going to realize here pretty soon, how fabulous and wonderful and great it is to experience that. That's all I ever wanted from my husband. I just wanted him to experience that with somebody who truly loved him and wanted everything in the world for him. it seems, I feel like for so long, I had a difficult time with past relationship, my son's father, and I made a lot of the choices I did based on having a child. When you have that child, it's the thing that comes first in your life. It's a baby that can't make decisions or take care of itself. You have to do all of that for them, and made choices that were based upon, that were best for my son. And I really felt this time around that I was making the choices that were best for my son and for myself. And I think in a lot of ways I made absolutely the right decisions. But in one big way I made the very wrong decision. There's this guy that came into my life that just never ever thought in a million years that I would marry, that I ended up marrying. And yeah, it's a good day. It's a really good day. I got married and had my wedding, getting married and building a house, and I'm building this future, and things are going good, and jobs are good, and everything's just going the way it's supposed to, but I always just felt like this puzzle piece was missing, and it was. It just always got shoved aside, and I was okay with that for a while. Let's just put it aside. And as it was being put aside, other things and distractions were being introduced into my life to make me forget about the things in life that I really, really deserved and I wanted. And before you know it, we had 5 dogs and 4 cats, 2 bunnies, fish, and it was supposed to be filling that void that I was so desperately needing to fill in my life. And year after year after year after year went on. And I hit the age, I want to say about 38-ish. And I woke up. I wasn't good. I was not good at all. I went into a pretty deep depression for quite a few months. Pretty much disappeared from the face of the earth. Nobody knew. I don't know if anybody cared, but nobody knew. And I started to get a little resentful. Honestly. Being truthful, I started to resent my husband. And is that fair from me? After everything that he's done for me and supported me, is it fair for me to resent him because he's not giving me what I want? That's that question that lingers out there. And I struggle with that. Some days I feel like, you know what? Damn right. I have every right to be resentful. I'm a person. He knew my needs when we got married. I have every right to be resentful toward him. And then there's days that I'm like, Julie, he's done so much for you that no other guy would do, and this and that. Why? Why were you so resentful? And I'm a mom. At the end of the day, I'm a mom. And a mom that wanted to be a mom to a couple more kids. And I have to remember that is something that I wanted to only share with my husband. I wanted to only give to him. So I think maybe I do have a right to be a little bit resentful. Doesn't take away from the fact that he's a good person and he did really good things for me. He did one big, huge no-no, and that was lie to me and mislead me for 9 to 10 years. If I had known in the very beginning what I knew now, well, I don't know. It's hard for me to answer. Sometimes I'm like, I never would have married him. I would have remained friends with him for the rest of my life. But would I have moved on and found somebody that had the same goals and dreams that I did? I might have. I don't know. Well, in 2009, that was just our rough year. That was my depression. Pulled myself out of it. Struggled that year in marriage. Came in contact with an old friend of mine from middle school. 10, 11 years old. Started talking to him. He was married. Comes to find out, didn't live too far away from me and had been living there for years. And we started talking. We start talking. He starts making me feel better about my life. I made him feel better about his life. He was in a really, really, really bad marriage. Bad. And when I say bad, you guys have no idea. Bad. I was not anywhere close to being in that kind of marriage. My marriage was completely the opposite, up until that point, but nothing compared to what he was going through. We comforted each other. I don't think that there was anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with the friendship that we had, and especially somebody that I maybe not had been in contact with, but was friends with at one point in my life, and I don't think there was anything wrong with that. I had other girlfriends, but for some reason, I just went this direction. And maybe because growing up in my life, I've always had more boy and men friends, not boyfriends, but friends that are boys in my life. I just related to them more on a level. I was always they just were always more fun. They weren't petty. They weren't anything. So why would, at this point in my life, be any different? Why wouldn't I turn and discuss my problems with a boy, a man, whatever? Yeah, a lot of people probably think that it's inappropriate and I shouldn't have done that. And I do put the shoe on the other foot, and if that was my husband turning to another woman, I probably would have had a problem with it. But at that point in my life and being so resentful, and I'm not saying it's right, it's what I chose to do, and it's what I did. Like I said, certain people come into your life at certain times for reasons. And at the end of year 2009, the bad year, we, 2 weeks before Christmas, had a house fire. I was out shopping for my nieces and nephews that live next door. And I get a phone call that I needed to get home. That all the dogs were dead, all the cats were dead. And then that was it. I frantically jumped in the truck and drove. I don't remember driving home except for I called my best friend Kat, sobbing. And I think I called my mom, sobbing. And when they say your life, like things happen that are a blur, and a lot of people don't experience that, this is a blur. Like, I just remember little specific things, getting home. But once I was home, I'll tell you, your life, my life, changed like that, instantly. My life will never and has never been the same. Never. I lost in that fire everything that was given to me to compensate for not having kids with me. Everything gone. I remember I just walked around a circle all night, wondering, pleading with God. After the fire, things just changed drastically. I mean, how could they not? Everything changed. The whole dynamics of our relationship just... Now, with this other person, my friendship now became my safe zone, my escape. Over the bridge, over onto the other side of town, you know, where his mom lived, was the only way to escape my demons of what was going on the other side of the bridge. You know, I I don't know exactly what happened to me during that period of time, except for I wasn't me. I feel like it was the shell was there, but the inside was not me. That was not the person I was. I almost feel like maybe looking back, I just gave up on everything. I just kind of threw my hands up and went, I'm done. I can't do this. Everything, anything and everything in my life that is important to me, I can't deal with. I can't deal with feeling the loss of everything that was important to me in that fire. The 9 little souls. I feel like that not only did I lose my babies, I lost my husband. I don't know why things happened the way they did. I didn't ask for any of that. It's just hard. It's hard when I really have to deal with it and think about it and think back on the things that I did that hurt my husband along the way. Would I do some of the things I did differently? I don't know. I was a lost person. Like I said, I wasn't myself. I closed and shut down, and I closed anybody that was important to me and close to me. I pushed everybody away. I pushed everybody away. And went to my safe zone and my escape over the bridge and laughed again and didn't worry about what was going over or going on over here. I was only concerned about what I was feeling going on over here. And is that selfish? Yes, probably. Rick moves to Minnesota. I think the only reason I did not go to Minnesota with him is that I feel like my feelings were so just dismissed that my feelings weren't important for even a discussion, for even marriage counseling. I had begged marriage counseling. Nope. He would not do it. That I was being stubborn, and I said, nope, I'm not going to Minnesota. Was never my first choice of anywhere I ever wanted to be. Even if there was help up there that could help us dig ourselves out of the hole to make our lives better, if you're not mentally there, the financial stuff just doesn't matter. All my mental problems, everything that was going on inside of me that was just dismissed like it didn't matter, my problems that I was emotionally going through for now over a year just didn't matter. Why should I give him what he wants when he won't give me something that I want? It's kind of my attitude and where I was. And I didn't go. He drove away with his part of his life, and I stayed here to pick up the pieces and clean up the mess. One thing I struggle with is he's now with this person that has 3 kids. 3. I was never good enough to have kids with. You love and adore my son. But I was never good enough to have kids with. That's how he made me feel. Yet, you go up to Minnesota and start up a relationship with somebody that has 3 kids. You know, I said something to him that he's really good at raising other women's kids, just not his own. I stand by that 100%.